The following is dedicated to the courage and camaraderie of the many men who tonight blessed this Zoom room with stories of survival and resiliency. Each week gathered in preparation with our project staff, we have created a container for emotions that men are not supposed to feel, but we felt them. I've never had such a strong sense of protection as I feel in these men's presence. Together, we bend gender norms, dispelling myth after myth, including if you put a bunch of men in a room together, bad things happen. Well, we've been in the same room for months, and look what happened. This. Unplugged, a poetic tale of release and recovery. Tucked beneath my towel, between the time of my tushy and my ass, this man's hands tinkered, toyed like tiny fingers surrounding sockets. Somehow he hesitated to plug up my childhood permanently. Not daring, swearing, not never, no, I would never come alone again. Hit 6 of 10 free throws, or I'll spank you pants down for every one you miss, he'd said. I had hit those fucking foul shots. I had hit those fucking foul shots. Ran suicides, dove for loose balls. My screams would not be heard from down the halls. So silently, I endured the suspense, tensed my muscles so tightly, I saw myself stiff miles below, loved ones filing past, paying their final respects. Out of respect for this man, my parents flashed the outside light when I ran into the house, so he would know that I got in safely. I was 11 when I received this one-on-one coaching session at the local Y. And of course, I would never have gone if I knew it would end this way. I just wanted to increase my skills and have an inside track to varsity, the team my abuser coached. The funny thing is, I was pretty terrible with free throws, but under pressure, I had made 60% and innocently thought that by doing so, I'd be in the clear. It's so upsetting when a child's innocence is taken from him like that. No? But in spite of how strange and gross, how terrible it felt when it was happening, I can honestly tell you that for years I didn't think about it much. Kids are resilient, and it was a one-time thing that perhaps felt more strange than traumatizing. My childhood passed, then college, and years of serving as a youth counselor, which led me to pursue my degree in social work. When it came time to select an elective course in my second year of graduate studies, the option I ended up choosing jumped off the page, making a beeline for my heart. Child sexual abuse. Child sexual abuse. Something that happened to other people, or had happened to me. Before the first class, I wrote the teacher explaining that I had personal experience with the issue, but assuring her I didn't plan on sharing details in class. She wrote back welcoming me to the course and affirming that that was a good idea. Despite this dismissive response, the class was still somewhat therapeutic, though also a bit triggering. While during the class, we learned that those who are victimized are at more risk of victimizing others. A professional training I attended went further still, basically asserting that all male adult survivors went on to molest children. Sitting in that workshop, hearing that bullshit, something happened to me for the first time in my recovery. Remember in my poem, the part where I'm floating above the abuse because it's just too horrific what's happening down below? Being reminded of my abuse like I was in that training, is like my body starting to come back into itself, but my equilibrium is totally thrown off in the process. And in cases where it's a negative reminder, it hurts doubly bad. Here's another image. Have you ever had a shaky computer screen? Suddenly the screen is screaming in staccato bursts. You can't see anything, and as you desperately poke at the little X in the corner, because the screen is shaking so violently, you can't shut it down. You try and you try, but you just can't shut it down. That's what happened inside my body in that moment, and so many times since. During this period of earning my social work degree and doing youth work afterwards, I thought about the abuse I'd suffered more than earlier in my life, but it mostly came up situationally. Like at an elementary school where I did my field work, there was a male kindergartner who was developmentally disabled, not very verbal. One day he had a complete meltdown. Nothing I tried to calm him worked. So as we sat in the front hallway for his mom to pick him up, I started to rock him on my lap. See, what a little baby. Finally, he calmed down. I was happy he'd stopped wailing, but then was approached by the school security guard, who generously told me, "You ought to take that child off your lap before his mama comes up in here, accuses you of something." Enacting my counselor role in the best way I knew, it was sad and confusing that as I defied the myth of abuse equals abuser, society still questioned my intentions as a male adult working closely with children. Thankfully, though, something else happened during grad school that changed my life forever for the positive. Me and other male classmates came together with the idea that even though all the efforts social work put into serving women and children were totally necessary, we also needed to put more attention on male-related social work issues. And during the 2 years that we and allied students organized around domestic violence prevention, ending the cradle to prison pipeline for men of color, and celebrating fatherhood, I don't think I realized how therapeutic that work was for me, but I do now. And those 7 years later, when I founded and led the youth empowerment program, Brothers on the Rise, I was more conscious of the healing power which boys and men's work held for me. I still couldn't talk about the abuse I'd experienced openly. Countless people asked me, "So why did you start your organization?" And I could list numerous reasons, including my late father's positive influence and the need for greater equity and justice for boys and young men of color. But one reason I couldn't name, for fear of scaring away clients' parents, because I was abused as a child by a sick and dangerous man, and now helping to prevent boys' victimization and supporting them to cope with and succeed in spite of this and many other challenges was all very, very healing. See, the work we start at my old organization begins early, helping boys from age 8 become socialized to open up about their issues and get help from a brotherhood of caring friends and adult mentors. Perhaps if I had such a group when I was younger, I would have spoken up sooner. As it was, it's been a long journey, and I'm still on it. About 15 years ago, I performed a spoken word piece about what happened to me at New York's Nuyorican Poets Cafe. And 5 years ago, I did a one-man show about the abuse as part of a class I took at Berkeley's Marsh Theater. I also started therapy last year. As a man, maybe I came to the counseling part slower, and art forms like poetry and theater have provided some safe distance from directly confronting my demons. But while creative expression does provide some cover for more emotionally harrowing methods of processing trauma, performing has its own pitfalls. When I did my one-man show, I was so scared. I'm not an actor and have a terrible memory, so why had I signed up to stand in front of a room filled with mostly strangers to reenact my story? What if I got on stage all alone, playing not just myself and my family, but my abuser, and I forgot all my lines? What if it was re-traumatizing and I froze, or worse still, broke down crying? What if it was a really, really, really bad experience layered on top of an already terrible one? When the moment came that day for my part of the class's show, I stepped nervously through the dark to center stage and nearly panicked because I had absolutely no recall of my lines. But when the lights went on, I found they were all inside of me. With each well-spoken word and decisive action I took for me and my 11-year-old self, everything stopped shaking so violently on my computer screen, and I came back deeper and deeper into my body. See, when therapeutic reminders of my abuse happen, that I control and go just as they should, it still hurts a little, but in a good way. A sad way, but a healing way. Like right now, sharing this moment with these brave men, these healers, and all of you listening, I'm inching closer and closer to who I was in my childhood, who I'm meant to be as a man, who I am as a person, and who I will be for myself, my loved ones, and our community. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your support in being here, all my loved ones and friends, and everyone else's. I'd now like to invite everyone to take a collective breath to center ourselves and get prepared for the next and final speaker. Thank you.